So Boruto just got a shiny new sword, and let's be honest, this thing should not be legal. That's right, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 28 didn't just give us alternate timeline deaths, a Karma Seal escalation, and Mamushi going into full horror movie vibes. It gave us something sneakier, something deadlier, something that might secretly be Boruto's most overpowered upgrade ever since we had the Jogon tease back in 2016. Because Boruto's new blade, it ain't just a weapon, it's a cheat code that is wrapped around in some unknown substance. It fixes Boruto's biggest weakness. It turns his training with Sasuke into an automatic buff. It punishes anyone foolish enough to touch it. And it quietly answers one of the biggest meta questions in the entire Boruto story in this portion of the Naruto franchise, which is, where does science fit into a world of shinobi? Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, is breaking down why Boruto's new sword is way more powerful than many people realize, why this upgrade isn't random but instead it is thematically perfect, and why this is the most Boruto Uzumaki weapon that he could have ever possibly have received. So grab your ramen, sit back, and let's talk about what the blade that just changed Boruto's future truly means to this story. And don't forget to check out the chapter review, which if you're seeing this on the 22nd, should be up on the channel by now. Chapter review editor was locked in for that one, and the review is a little longer than the normal review. So if you liked it, hit the hype button and share the video with people you know that are following the manga. Video will be linked in the description box and the end credits if you haven't seen it, and if the review is published, obviously. So let's start things off with the hidden problem that Boruto had and why this sword truly fixes it. In order to understand why this upgrade is so insane, we need to look back at Boruto's fight with Jura. That fight exposed something huge. Boruto has the skills, he has the power, he even has the resolve, but he can't divide his focus in the middle of a life or death fight. Sasuke's sword style, the one Boruto is trying to master, it requires a user to run their chakra through the blade at all times, maintain perfect concentration, balance movement, defense, offense, and elemental coding, because you're running the chakra through the sword at all times, all while reading the enemy and fighting the enemy. And Boruto can do this, but in the middle of the Jura battle, right when he panicked for a split second, he lost focus, and that resulted in the blade being chipped. That small crack wasn't just metal breaking. I've done a whole video explaining the significance of that, but it was also a metaphor for Boruto's biggest internal flaw, trying to juggle too much at once. There's a whole samurai element to it, which again, done a whole video explaining that. That will be linked in the description box. But for a kid who is literally carrying the fate of multiple timelines on his back, that's a huge problem. Enter in Sumire. Enter in the future research scroll that she got. Enter in the solution that is wrapped in that new unknown substance that she talked about. A sword that does all the chakra work for Boruto. So in order to understand that, you have to understand how this new sword works and why that just makes it so broken. Sumire didn't just patch Boruto's sword. She didn't just upgrade it. She didn't just reinforce it. She literally rebuilt it from scratch. The original blade itself, that thing's gone. The only thing remaining is the hilt from the original. And I understand why she left it on there. I didn't talk about it in the review, but it is a symbolic nod to Boruto's connection to Sasuke. The new sword itself is all Boruto. Keeping the hilt from the original, that's just to bind together Boruto and Sasuke's connection as teacher and student. Everything else is brand new. And this sword has two god tier upgrades when you think about it. Number one, it automatically channels Boruto's chakra. Before, Boruto had to consciously run chakra through the blade at all times. One slip and that blade weakens and that blade can chip. Now the sword autonomously feeds Boruto's chakra continuously. It keeps the blade at maximum strength no matter what Boruto's doing. All he's gotta do is just tilt the blade and he's good. That is insane because Boruto can now fight instinctually. He doesn't need to split his focus. His sword is at full efficiency 100% of the time. The weapon adjusts itself to Boruto's chakra flow. His sword style, it is now second nature. It fixes the exact flaw that Jura exposed. The system basically transformed Boruto into a true chakra swordsman, without the mental tax that it usually takes for this fighting style, because you have to think about it until it becomes second nature for you. It basically gives Boruto the advantages that Sasuke had. The trade-off is that it does drain some of Boruto's chakra, but it's at a continuous level. But again, the benefit is that he doesn't have to consciously think, I need to run my chakra through this sword. He can just focus on fighting. That's what makes this sword sneaky overpowered. It doesn't give Boruto a flashy, dramatic new power. It removes one of his biggest weaknesses. And in combat, that is way more dangerous, which brings me to the second thing. If anyone else touches it, they get drained. That second upgrade, it's way more devious. If you pick up the sword and you're not Boruto, if you're not Sasuke, if you're not Sumire, it's gonna drain your chakra. Not slowly, not gently. It's gonna instantly and aggressively drain a chunk of your chakra. This turns the sword into a weapon, a trap, a defensive tool, an anti-theft system, a potential strategy for power gap fights. It's a deterrent for monsters like Kawaki or Jura. Imagine for a moment, Jura grabs that blade mid-battle. Gone. His chakra is going to get some of it drained. Kawaki tries to yank it away with brute strength. Boom. His stamina is going to drop. Maybe even low enough where Kawaki can't use Sukuna Hikona to shrink it. But we don't even know if he can shrink it because there's an extra element to the sword that we don't know what it is. Sumire never told us. If it has any DNA attached to it, Kawaki can't shrink it. Suddenly, Boruto has a weapon that punishes anyone who tries to disarm him. A weapon that turns a moment of weakness into opportunity. A weapon that fights for him even when he's not swinging it. That is beautiful poetry. And that also brings me to why this sword gives Boruto way more strategic options. This sword doesn't just hit harder. It doesn't just stay sharp. It doesn't just run chakra on autopilot. It changes the way Boruto can fight. Think about it. Boruto, arguably his greatest strengths are unpredictability, high tactical IQ, being able to use shadow clones, having a hybrid style of ninjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, scientific ninja tools, and the Karma Seal. That sword is going to be a benefit for all of those, especially if he's fighting someone stronger than him. If he's outmatched, Boruto can intentionally let the enemy grab the blade. Instant chakra drain, instant opening. If he's fighting someone who's fast enough to speed blitz him, Boruto can now move purely on instinct. He no longer has to micromanage the blade's chakra flow. It's already taking chakra from him. So all Boruto has to worry about now is taking his chakra and applying it to a speed boost. Because again, chakra is not just used for ninjutsu purposes. It also boosts up your stats. That's why having more chakra and having high chakra control is really big in Naruto. This allows his reactions to stay sharp. This allows to make sure his emotional swings don't punish him. It gives him a way to where if he panics, it doesn't cost him. It also allows him to fight Otsutsuki adjacent threats like Kawaki. If Kawaki goes for the sword, he pays the price. Considering that Kawaki's chakra is deeply linked to Ishiki's essence, losing a massive chunk instantly, it could serve as a tactical shift. For long-term battles, this sword being able to draw on Boruto's chakra at a steady rate, it might sound like a downside until you realize the blade regulates the flow of chakra better than Boruto could. It uses chakra more efficiently. It's only taking the bare minimum of what is needed. It's basically building on the concept of chakra control. That is why having perfect chakra control is a big deal, because it allows you to use high-level jutsu and perform the bare minimum amount of chakra needed to perform them. That is why even though someone like Naruto, for a large chunk of Naruto's manga, despite having more chakra than Kakashi, could never truly beat Kakashi in a fight, because Naruto was wasting way too much chakra, even in early Shippuden when he was performing various jutsu. Chakra efficiency definitely matters. Being able to stabilize that blade's elemental coating because you're constantly running chakra through it, it keeps that sword battle ready even when Boruto himself is tired. He doesn't have to think about how to optimize his chakra better into the weapon. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a strategic revolution for Boruto. That also brings me to why this sword fits into one of Boruto's biggest themes perfectly. So one of the core questions that Boruto's story has always talked about, which is, what is the role of science in a world of ninja? Naruto at one point was worried in the early stages when Kakashi was Hokage and Naruto saw all the technology upgrades. He worried about what the increase in science would do. But even Naruto, before he became Hokage, came to the conclusion that science is just like ninja tools. It depends on how you use them. Boruto early on in the story became dependent on those tools, not trusting in the talent and the jutsu he acquired through his own training. Sasuke at one point argued that science can enhance a shinobi, but still not replace their soul. This is why the Boruto anime never adapting Sasuke Shinden, the teacher's star pupil, was doing a disservice to the anime story, in my opinion. This sword is the perfect embodiment of that philosophy. And to understand why, I'm gonna have to pull in some information from connected stories that fit the manga continuity. So you have the Kakashi Retsuden story. Kakashi realized something crucial in that story. Science will never eliminate ninjutsu. Instead, it just elevates it. That is how Kakashi was able to make some of the jutsu that he uses in Boruto, because science assisted him. It sped up the creation of jutsu that were only theoretically possible. But Kakashi still had to put the work in. Kakashi still needed the insane chakra control to pull it off. Tools don't replace skill. They only enhance it. Boruto's sword does exactly that. It doesn't let Boruto fight without the skill. It does not create power out of nothing. It doesn't even fight for him. It amplifies the skill that is already there. His Kenjutsu training from Sasuke. Sasuke also, in the Sasuke Shinden teacher star pupil story, touches on this. He literally tells Boruto that his hate for ninja tools doesn't make sense because science has always been part of the ninja world. The example Sasuke gives Boruto is that shinobi learning to use lightning release to sharpen metal, that came from science and understanding it. Sasuke explains that he coats his kunai and shuriken with special materials to better channel lightning release when he runs it through it. One of the kunai that Sasuke has is coated in copper. Ninja tools evolve constantly, and it's because of experimentation and research. What Boruto's using now, it isn't new. It's a modern continuation of a philosophy that has existed since the Warring States era. Science and chakra. It is the evolution of shinobi arts. Sasuke's sword style, it became stronger in the hands of Boruto because of science. But the science itself is worthless without Boruto's skill. That balance, the merging of the old and the new, it's been Boruto's theme since chapter 1. It is why I've been saying for years now, Boruto and Kawaki are meant to be physical embodiments of that question. What happens when science is in a world of shinobi? Boruto is a representation of somebody that blends both aspects together. Kawaki, like the car inners, is somebody who relies too heavily on science. He is imbalanced, whereas Boruto is balanced. This new sword is a literal physical embodiment and an anchor for this theme. And that also brings me to why this weapon is Boruto's most Boruto weapon he could have ever received. Boruto, shocker. Boruto's not Sasuke, shocker. Boruto's not Kawaki, shocker. His character is built around innovation, adaptability, blending traditions, defying expectations, casting aside familiar bonds to carve one's own way, defying expectations, using science responsibly because of Sasuke and Naruto's teachings, carving his own path. His sword, it is Boruto Uzumaki in weaponized form when you think about it. Let me cook for a second. It is basically based on Sasuke's teaching. It honors Boruto's mentor Sasuke. The hilt remains. It symbolizes Boruto's bond with Sasuke, their bond as master and student. It uses scientific ninja tool technology. It honors the modern world that Boruto grew up in. A future version of Sumire's research gives it legitimacy. And Boruto, unlike in the tuning exams, he's not using this tool and forsaking his own skill. He's using both together. And it also further builds on that hybrid fighting style that Boruto was always going to have. Boruto relies on shinobi tactics. He relies on the Karma Seal to a degree. He relies on taijutsu. He's now using the mentorship that Sasuke gave him with the sword style. He's relying on science. This sword merges every detail of that together, and it also enhances his skill instead of replacing it. And this is exactly what Naruto wanted with the introduction of ninja tools. It's exactly what Sasuke was trying to teach Boruto. It's exactly what Kakashi realized when he was Hokage, working with that ninja tool department. It gives Boruto a weapon that can grow with him, because the sword feeds on Boruto's chakra. The weapon is going to scale as Boruto grows stronger. The stronger he gets, the higher his chakra levels grow. The blade itself grows stronger. As he evolves his lightning release, something that Sasuke told him to work on, the blade will evolve with him. As he gains more chakra mastery, the blade's gonna become more dangerous. And unlike the Karma Seal, unlike scientific prosthetics, the weapon does not compromise who Boruto is. Instead, it enhances him. That also brings me to why this sword is far more important than I think people are noticing. Fans are focused on the alternate timelines. Himawari's confirmed death, Ada's confirmed death, Kashi and Koji's warning, Mamushi attacking Konoha, Boruto using Karma again. And those things are massive, absolutely, but this sword, this quiet little moment where Sumire hands Boruto his new blade and explains it, it is the setup for Boruto's next character arc, because this weapon, it fixes his Jura weakness that was exposed. It amplifies his core skill set, it expands strategic options, it punishes enemies automatically, it strengthens Sasuke's legacy, it answers Boruto's central philosophical theme, it symbolizes the merging of old shinobi traditions with modern science, and it gives Boruto a scalable tool that grows alongside him. This sword is not subtle. This sword in the hands of Boruto, it makes him a visionary. It makes him a revolutionary. It truly does make Boruto freaking Uzumaki. If you get that reference, put the one finger up in the air for me. And in a series where the smallest detail can become a big payoff, Boruto's new blade, it might be a key to defeating Jura and Kawaki and every future enemy tied to the timelines Koji's trying to prevent. And even if it isn't, it is a continuation of Boruto's character arc, which I love. Boruto doesn't need some flashy, dramatic new power-up, even though he's probably going to get one. He needed something smarter. He needed something cleaner. He needed something that reinforced who he is. And in chapter 28, that's exactly what he got. Boruto's sword is a lightning rod for his training. It is a symbol for his growth. It is a scientific masterpiece. It is a nod to his mentor. It is a tool built specifically for his future battles. And it is one of, quietly, the most overpowered pieces of equipment in the entire series. So the next time Boruto unleashes that blade, just know he's not just swinging a sword. He's swinging a accumulation of the entire philosophy. The future belongs to the shinobi who can blend skill with innovation of ninja tech. And Boruto Uzumaki, he just became the poster child for the evolution, and he became the walking answer of the question, where does science fit in this world of shinobi? Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking on the left for the chapter review, or clicking on the right to check out videos from other two anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.